see you've got roadside mowing and fire pond bids before anything else.
Yeah, John, I didn't know if anybody was going to show up.
Right.
You can move that down if you'd like.
And I don't see any roadside mowing bids anywhere. Oh, you've got them?
I've got it.
Yeah, okay, let's move that down. Is that okay with you? Approval of minutes.
Move the minutes for July 2nd.
Do we have a second? I'll second it. Craig, it may be what you really meant, but you probably should change it anyway. Page 3. Third paragraph,
Yeah.
next to the last line.
Did you go set?
Keep going.
Some portions of
No, read what you wrote.
these were said that some portions. I tried to type these up after the meeting.
Well, I understand where potions might have come in there somewhere or somehow.
Are we working with potions?
It seems to me that the next heading, the law enforcement and town constable, the town constable
Wasn't here.
ought to be added there if he's not here. And I think I found one other picky little thing for you.
Thank you.
Oh, page 5. Number 11.
Executive session, none of this.
Place, I'm sure is what you meant.
Okay, got it.
I have no substantive corrections at all. Considering that meeting, I think you did well. Anybody else?
All right.
All in favor of approving the minutes?
Were you a second on that?
Yes, I seconded it. Chip's the only one who wants to approve them?
No.
Oh, okay. No corrections, but we're not going to approve them. Alrighty. Additions and deletions to the agenda. Did you hear anything from David?
What's in your box as of today, you have the fire pond bids and the invitation to bid for East Hill if we go there. But that was it. That's all I heard from David today.
No, other David.
Oh, David Marzoff. Yes, he said he would try to get a report in by 4 o'clock this afternoon. It was at 5:15. He didn't have one in.
I don't want a report. I want him. Would you try?
I asked, I told him the meeting was Monday night and it would be nice to have an update, and if he was available, would he please stop in? And if he couldn't stop in because he wasn't in the area, please send me an email, and he said he would, but he didn't.
Okay, well, maybe you can email him like tomorrow
I will
and
tomorrow
say,
morning.
please plan on being there. The select board has some questions.
Just so it's on the agenda under old business, we need to review who was awarded the contract for crushing. Because we left it last week that the road commissioners and highway foreman would review the bids and award a contract.
I have that put into the minutes. The awards. I mean, they aren't, no, they're not in the minutes, but you're right.
It should be under old business so that it becomes part of the minutes this week. Award, just so that, you know, you've always got a paper trail.
And I guess also additions under new business, with the bronze flags.
What's that?
Flags. You gotta do something. Ask the business association if somebody's gonna take care of those flags.
roadside ones?
Yeah,
Keep
they're
going down.
all tangled up, they're falling, it's,
Yeah.
and we just gotta, if they're gonna have them up there, they gotta be taken care of.
Okay. Any other additions or deletions?
Talk about, at least bring up, pre-buy on oil. We do that.
Yeah, that's on the,
That's on there.
Okay, I lost my copy because I gave it to Kevin.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it away. Okay, shall we continue with the warrants?
Yep. Yeah, like different.
Grab the listers, who watches over their time, I mean, other than just taking
The
it away.
listers.
Yeah.
Elected officials.
Yeah.
Well, there's only one sort of out of the ordinary warrant there. We got a bill from John Deere Credit,
Yeah, which is this year.
Oh, the backhoe.
the backhoe. Apparently, what happened was the backhoe was leased in 2008. The first payment was made. It was like an annual payment. Then in 2009, the town borrowed money through the equipment fund program and paid another large payment of $71,000 and change. And Anita had got some correspondence where shortly after that she asked them for a payoff of that lease. Well, apparently that payoff never got into the warrants, never got followed up on. And so all of this time, everyone, including myself, was assuming that we owned the backhoe, that it was all paid off, except for our loan through the state of Vermont, that we were done with the leasing situation. But what happened was that large payment that was made from the money that was borrowed from the state paid the 2009 payment, the 2010 payment, the 2011 payment.
You mean
And
the lease payments?
The
they
lease
applied
payments,
to.
they applied it to the lease payments
At high interest.
and partial to the 2012 payments. So subsequently, we never got any bill or any paperwork from them
For
since
years.
2009, and now, because the payments were all paid by that big payment. So now they are saying to pay off the lease and buy it out, we owe them $12,000 and change.
How come we didn't hear anything from them before?
Because they applied that big chunk for
71,000 is
annual
a
payments for several years, so they're happy.
It's just like if you paid your mortgage in advance, you did not get a payoff note. That's
Or
right.
it's up
Well,
there for
and
something.
Anita, because this was before I was here, Anita sort of handled some of the paperwork, had a conversation with somebody, like I said, got a payoff number that was like $6,500 and something. She had a copy of the note. She is pretty sure she probably gave it to Mary to put on a warrant. We went through the boxes, did not find it on a warrant anywhere. And so it just got forgotten. So when I got the bill, I called them. I said, can you send me a copy of the lease? They did. I didn't realize that Anita already had one out there. then I said, well, can you send me a copy of the payoff notice? Because I wanted to see if they had in their records the same thing that Anita had a copy of. She wrote back and said, well, even in 2009, the payoff would have been $12,461 and change. But that's not the number that Anita was given in 2009 by somebody else. But that's what they're saying, to get this over and done with. So, I mean, obviously, it's not something that was budgeted or
Do we
whatever.
still owe the state on that?
Yeah, we do.
How much?
That was a 5-year deal.
No. You,
The
give me
lease
two
was
sec-
5
give me
years.
2 seconds, I can go look it
Well,
up.
just
Right.
roughly, that's.
I don't know roughly. Maybe,
So, I mean, in actuality, it's our responsibility, I won't use the word fault, but
right.
it's our
Mhm.
collective responsibility because we didn't follow up to make sure that that payment was credited
Well,
appropriately. I
what
mean,
now was adequate enough to pay it off. I mean, obviously, somebody knew that it wasn't enough to pay it off. That's why Anita called and asked for a payoff number.
yeah,
I mean, here's the 6/23 of '09, they sent a
But-
letter saying, here is the buyout quote
in '09,
in
the
'09.
buyout quote was 12,000.
No, it was, the payoff on this lease is $6,563.57.
In '09.
Yeah,
And today it's
12,000.
because of accrued interest.
Well, I guess so, but according to the email that I got from the woman that I've been communicating with, she said the payout in 2009 would have still been $12,000 and change, but,
Second page.
which is contradictory to what this letter says, so. I mean, that's quite a difference between what they told us then the payout was and what it is now.
And Kim, did Anita actually have a letter from them?
Well, with the payout amount, yes. That's what she gave me a copy of. So the balance on, on the backhoe is 14, no, that's two of them, 28,000.
There's more on the first page there under debt service, but it's not broken down by vehicle on the front page of that. That's from March.
I'm just trying to clarify in my own mind how this financial, I can see how the snafu happened, but I don't know how they have reached from 6,000
No,
to
me either.
9.
It may have been that the interest was not going to, it's like no prepayment penalty if you pay it off, or had we paid it off in 2009 or 10, the whole thing, we might not have accrued interest, but because we only paid a big chunk, then the whole thing runs, and they're just
Yeah, I
applying it
know,
month by
that's-
month.
But that's an awful lot of interest between.
Well, it's
ours.
5% per
Six.
year. 4.9 or 4.85 or something percent per year, I think was the interest rate on that, which is why we went with the Vermont loan at 1.2 or 2.2 or whatever it was. We
Well,
tried to pay off that
yeah,
higher interest
But
rate
let's
lease.
just not pay this until Kim finds out more.
Well, I would like to, I just barely got the email from the woman today saying, well, it still would have been 12,000, blah, 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 2009. I would like to send her a copy of this and show her what,
Yeah.
in 2009, they told us the buyout was. Now you're
Yeah.
saying it's 12. How did you get from that number to this number, and show me
Yeah,
the breakdown?
yeah, let's just don't do it.
There must be some trail of when Anita asked for the buyout number, and we borrowed that number and paid it off.
No, we didn't, unfortunately, that,
Didn't
I don't
happen.
know how the amount was arrived at, how much was borrowed from the state, because it wasn't enough to pay off the lease at that time.
So the lease were paid off.
Right, right, and I don't know why that,
Maybe there was some money in the equipment account or somewhere that was gonna get
Okay, yeah,
applied.
it
But
could
it's
very
long,
well
it
have
doesn't
been.
seem like, why did they wait?
Because it was all paid.
Because
They
it
were
was all
satisfied.
paid up through
I
now.
understand why they waited, I mean,
Yeah,
they were paid off. They were paid, just like if you paid your mortgage, you probably don't have a mortgage, but
Yeah.
us that do, if you paid your mortgage 2 years in advance, they're not gonna send you a notice
I don't even know
every
why
month.
it worked, really.
I don't know why you do.
well, obviously the other thing was this was all taking place, from what I understand, there was a lot of turmoil, and who knows what happened to the,
Well, and I remember when you started, there was a question about that first year that we were all here together, there was no money budgeted for the backhoe in in that year's budget.
well, they hadn't budgeted, well, because at that time, the policy or practice was not to budget for payments for the equipment, but it was to use that monies earned by the equipment to pay for it, because that money was supposed to be being set aside in an account.
And it never
to pay
was,
the-
or at least
It was not always, no. No, it
Okay.
didn't ever get set aside.
I guess we need more information on that.
Well,
I
now-
don't understand.
I mean, basically what it's boiling down to is, the original purchase price plus all the lease, I think, was around $105,000 for that backhoe, and that's ultimately what you're gonna end up paying, as if you had
That-
as if you had run the lease out to the
Yeah,
end,
yeah.
so.
Okay, let's wait for further developments on that one. And now we're back to contact. Contact.
Contact.
Yeah. I guess,
There is a letter, right, from Steve Wolf from Contact and David Diesendorf. And it's pretty, talks extensively, everybody got a copy of that from David?
No.
About the conversation that Contact, or Steve Wolf had with Kurt Bostrom. And Contact is claiming that they informed Kurt Bostrom of the charge for returning the pipe. Let's see if I'm trying.
Restock fee for the pipe was going to be waived, the pickup fee was not waived.
Right.
Yeah.
And this also, I mean,
So-
to go back to that, this was also a time of some hectic and chaos. Kurt, I'm sure, did call them and said, we need to get that out of there, we need to get the new one in, kind of thing. It was, they were trying to take care of that road, he was working with A&R, they were trying to take care of that last fall. There was kind of a hurry up with Contact in trying to get this done, so I'm sure a lot of things get said on the phone that
That's fine, we should have known about this a month and a half, how long we've been pushing this thing on.
Well, I mean, my understanding from Kurt was, of course, I wasn't on the board when all this happened, so I don't, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but since I've been on the board, when I first asked Kurt about that, he said that he never knew that they were gonna charge a freight. Because my contention is, if we knew they were gonna charge a freight,
We would have kept
we
the
would have
culvert.
kept the culvert. I mean, we paid $900 for nothing, so you would have, and there would have been somewhere that we could have used the culvert. And that's my contention, and my understanding was why I, as a member of the board, have refused to sign the warrant and pay them, was that they never told us that there was gonna be a freight charge.
Well, he has, yeah, you have gotten the same information all the rest of us have. And I don't think that any discussion about this happened before you got on the board. I'm sure it didn't. My take on this at this point is that there was a misunderstanding that Kurt didn't pick up on the fact that they weren't waiving all charges, just the restock charge. I mean, in future, all of this should at the very least be done by email and not on the phone. So there's some record. But I don't know what to do at this point. I mean, he's saying Kurt knew, Kurt's saying he didn't know. He can't say Kurt knew, all he could say is I told him.
Yeah.
Whether he was heard is a whole different question. I mean, these people generally have been good to us. And
I think you gotta pay the bill, I suppose.
I'm feeling like we go ahead, kid. I think we need to.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't like it, but
I don't like it. I don't like it at all, because I just feel that we've been misled somewhere, and it ain't okay.
yeah, and it's hard to ferret out where exactly. So I'll characterize it as a misunderstanding and move on. But also try to avoid them in the future. Chad, can you convey that to Kurt, that all of these things need to be by email?
You know, this may not be the appropriate place to talk about this on the agenda, but I mean, the whole concept of culverts, we're buying culverts from WW, and I can't imagine that that's cheaper than putting them out to bid and stocking the culverts. It may be, and I'd be very interested in seeing the money parts of that, but I know we used to put them out, we would go and figure out how many culverts that we needed, what size, and measure them up, and every year we would put out to bid different culverts, and that would include delivery and all that sort of stuff, and you'd always buy one or two extras so that you'd have some stockpile, and you know, like we saw that crushed one up on the hill the other day, you'd have a culvert to replace it. Now run down to WW, not that I got anything against WW, but I think money-wise, it's gonna be cheaper to stockpile them. And you wouldn't have this freight charge, you wouldn't have this kind of thing. Well, that's $900.
Yeah, I think on that particular culvert, we would have had something because there was also, I mean, the reason we sent one back and got another one is because we got a bigger one. And I'm not sure whether A&R was saying you need a bigger one after we had ordered the first one.
I think that Kurt said himself that he ordered the wrong size.
That may be too.
Yep.
He did. He ordered.
Actually, I think
I
Ernie
think
discovered
he
it.
ordered a 5-footer. It's on the side of the road. A little bit supposed to put it in. It turned out that the one that was under the road was actually a 6-footer. And Irv made mention that you should at least replace it with the same size. And then he had, I guess, or he was in continuing discussions with A&R about making it an 8-footer or bigger at that point. But I think we ended up with a 6-footer up there that matches the one that's the one that washed out.
Contact Bill, one for Jeff or both.
Well, I don't think we have much to say on it, honestly.
Okay. All in favor of?
We have a motion. Did somebody make a motion to approve the warrant?
No.
There's any discussion here, but we'll put that in front.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the warrant.
With the exception of the John Deere lease.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
There's 3 up there, that's all right, I'll
Aye.
abstain.
You're saying?
Well, yeah, I didn't sign the contract. I just
Okay. Craig,
Mhm.
highway report.
I really don't have a highway report. Kurt called me too and said he wouldn't, wasn't feeling well, couldn't not be in tonight. Simply said that, Basin had arrived with the crusher, or was about to start crushing at any rate, and that would provide the gravel needed for whatever we needed for in the repaving project, but that they're going to be gearing up next week for, or this week, toward this week, sometime this week, for the repaving and getting signs up and taking care of that. Other than that, things seem to be going pretty well. That's about all I had to say.
Basin doing the crushing and
Basin
paving?
is doing the crushing
Yeah.
and the paving, yes.
Say
Both paving jobs and the crushing job.
This fan be speeded up any?
It can be speeded up a little bit, I think.
Don't want to talk about it later on.
Right now, it's good spot, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder, ask if he's got, David will have the whole thing, basically.
Oh, okay.
I know who got the date, basically.
Oh, you've got a report from David?
No, no.
Do you have?
Well, I do have,
I do not know.
I'll read, he did send me this little blurb.
Oh,
Haven, this week Kurt and I are going to remove the grass from the ditch earth stole identified on Grafton Road, crossing Carol Nelson's into the berm. Their time would allow the ditch to be clear prior to paving. They were hoping the gravel crushing would be completed in time to allow gravel to be placed on the Townshend Road prior to the asphalt being reclaimed. Basically on that, Basins was quite a bit less on the reclaim job, and FEMA is allowing, so we were going to use some money to add gravel before they reclaimed it. Mowing bid, only one bid has been received by Saturday, July 14th. Kurt was going to contact Steve Rockwell to see if he was going to bid. The perimeter of Taft Meadows needs to be mowed. If Kevin Meyer is getting a hay from the field, he should be mowing the entire field, even if the perimeter of hay cannot be used for his feed. If Kevin is not allowed to mow the perimeter, or not able to mow the perimeter, the person awarded the bid should mow the perimeter. I don't know. That's new.
I do on that. I talked to
Okay.
David about that. I'll
Okay.
brief.
Vehicle maintenance, the grader was returned to the garage late Wednesday evening. Thursday morning, we briefly discussed the need to maintain the vehicles according to the manufacturer's maintenance schedule, because the grader warranty only covers the transmission. I asked Kurt to have all other maintenance inspections performed before the grader left the garage. Video signs. He says, I will be ordering 4 video surveillance signs to combat the illegal dumping at the recycling bins. Signs would cost less than a new camera.
Oh, okay.
What have we been having for illegal dumping?
The
Oh,
only
all
thing I could
kinds
do
of
is some
stuff.
couches and stuff and salt shed. I think that's where they couldn't, whatever they couldn't get in the.
Well, but there were all kinds of, like, barrels of sheetrock mud sitting outside the thing. One day
Bags of bottles, there's a computer up there.
I had 2 women take back out of there a whole big box full of electronic stuff. I've been tempted to sit there and offer reading lessons to those people who walk past the no plastic bag sign and pitch in their plastic bag full of cans and bottles.
People are ignorant.
Into the cardboard.
No, they do the can and bottle thing.
Did we see, did the camera?
Oh, styrofoam. I always see piles of styrofoam in there. And I'm willing to bet there's no recycling number on that stuff.
Community service program only allow Alex to operate chainsaw. While they will cut up some trees, they prefer roadside clearing able to accomplish with only 1 chainsaw. I think Alex is working up a list of what he does with other towns so we can get more use out of him. And it says the USDA is working on a great grant program to reinforce the stream bank below the Holland Brigham Bixby Cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
They also cut up the trees laying over Millbrook and back to Little Gray. That's all they did have.
Okay, and you didn't hear anything from Kurt about another mowing bid or whether
I
anybody.
did not. Somebody indicated that he was talking to somebody. I asked him, I asked him today. I said, we have one bid in from Bruce, and I'll pass it on to the board tonight if you're not going to be here. What's your recommendation? He said, it's fine. Have Bruce do it. They'll just want to do it differently than we did it last year a little bit in terms of supervision and timelines and that kind of thing. But he has relatively newer equipment, if that is the case. I don't know what the bid is. It's close, but it is here.
Well, shall we open it and go ahead and?
I do have one thing before we do.
Yeah.
On the bulldozer rental, I'm sure everybody's heard about, we rented a bulldozer for a week. When Kurt brought it to our attention, they wanted to rent a dozer for a week to clean up the pit. I got a price from Donald Gould and Son per hour for two different dozers and compared them. And it was $1,675 a week to rent a dozer from John Deere. So I figured fuel and a man running it, and it was still less than the hourly rate for Gould's bigger dozer. It was in between, which it is what it is. I learned that, but I didn't realize one thing. I just found out today is they spend the same amount of time down there with a bucket loader, working with the dozer. Well, I thought that's what our bid was for the gravel. It's included with the excavator and a bucket loader. And I was going to ask why we spent a week down there with our own loader piling up gravel for them to crush.
Especially since apparently the current crushers can
Move
move
on
from
track.
pile to pile.
So that I'll have to take some blame for that. I didn't realize they were going to.
But wasn't that why they?
He told they were going to. They were
No,
getting the
I'm just
dozer
saying,
to clean.
Weren't they going to make a big pile? It doesn't.
He
Take a
did.
bucket loader to do that.
Well, you can
Or is that
push
what
it.
the
You can
dozer
push
does?
it with a dozer. I mean, but I didn't think they told. I thought the way I took it is they were going to clean the pit up, which it needed.
It
There
actually
was
was
stuff scattered all over, you know, and Bays and Brothers, whoever, isn't going to chase gravel all around. That's my feeling, but I mean, I did go down there yesterday, and it's a one big pile they can back up to, which was no need. They should have pushed it the best they could, and then they could have tracked around and excavated bucket loader. But I'll
Well, I
talk to them.
I knew there were two guys down there all week. But one of them was running the loader, and the other was
Right.
scraping up little piles and then driving it up and making it into
So if you figured that in,
labor
if you
fees.
figure in our bucket loader, it's obviously less than if we'd rented Larry's big dozer. But
Well, I mean, the job got done, it's a good job, it's a
Yeah.
pile.
But it didn't, I mean, the way we bid it out, a lot of it didn't need to be done.
So we got a loader and
Loader
a
and
week's
excavator.
worth of labor that we really should not have had in.
Well, how do you,
Because
That's the way I feel about
how do
it.
you know you shouldn't have been there though? I mean,
that's the way the bid was written.
They're supposed to supply a bucket loader and an excavator. One to stockpile, one to nail into there.
The bid.
And then, and then it's on track. The crusher is.
So we done the work that we asked the people that were submitting bids to do.
I mean, not
Well,
all,
no.
but work, some of it
And
didn't need
paid
to be
for
done.
it, or will be paid.
Yeah.
Well, it's just abuse on their loader, wear and tear.
Well, that too, particularly if we
Yep.
contracted with somebody else to do that.
Back to Tap Meadows, I ran into Michael Myers, and he said that obviously it had been mowed and failed, but he was saying that the board ought to have a look at it. You may want to spray around it. The poison ivy is really encroaching from Route 30, and may want to kill that off. But the people that are mowing won't bail poison ivy for obvious reasons. He didn't say anything about why they wouldn't just cut it and leave it on the ground, but he recommended that it probably be get an herbicide in there and spray that down. He also mentioned, I just talked to Jim Crozier not too long ago, but apparently there's a pretty good field of sumac coming in behind Jim's house, and that we're losing acreage of mowings there. Sumac's getting pretty big.
Where?
But that behind Jim Crozier's house,
Oh.
up on the hill, going down toward the cemetery ground, that really should be brush cut pretty hard. He doesn't think it would take very long or a big piece of equipment, but it is moving in. It's fairly invasive and it eats up an awful lot of land. So I've been out there.
I think brush cutting makes it go away.
Sumac would come right back.
Comes, yeah.
Faster.
I cut it, yeah.
Bigger and better than ever.
Yeah. You go over there in about 6 weeks where they hay, and if there's any sumac, it'll be about 5 feet tall coming back.
So maybe it takes something on the sumac too.
Anyway, somebody should probably look at Taft Meadows and surmise what needs to be done, or whether it needs an investment of town money in different kind of mowing, or brush cutting, or herbicides, or something like that, to get it to where you want it, in terms of being able to use it as a mower.
And we're gonna take a look at Taft Meadows and,
I'll take it.
oh, good. Stay out of the poison ivy. Won't go on the Jeep.
Yeah, Jeff owes you a couple hours.
A couple hours ride in the Jeep, that's right.
Couple of hours.
It's a phone call or?
We
I called.
and
There
we
was
phoned
nobody
call.
called me.
When?
10. 10.
At 10, and then at 10, because we waited till 10 after for him. Finally figured he'd gone fishing or something.
Figured we'll run into him. Figured we'll run into him on
Yeah.
that or somewhere.
Anyhow. So I'll take a look and ask around about that Taft Meadows stuff. I don't know what.
Great.
I know when we first got that piece of property and how many years that we brush hogged it to get it down to
What it is.
where they could hay it. And at that point in time, the people that were haying it said that they would keep it cut back to where it was. So if it's encroaching, I mean, I'm not going to say that they're responsible, but I think that when we allow people to use it for hay, part of that is those keeping it cut back enough.
Well, that's what
Keeping it
brought up this
maintained.
discussion.
Yeah.
That it wasn't,
And I think in the last 3 years, they basically mowed it for free. We used to bid out the brush cut
Yeah.
because it was a heavy job.
Yeah.
It used to be a small expense, but it wasn't expensive at the time. The last 3 or 4 years, they've been haying it for free. But I think that, as you said, they've only been haying the hay.
Well,
Taking-
hay and what you want, but
Right.
not keeping the rest of it cut back. And I think that when we look at somebody taking the hay, we ought to look at them keeping that whole area clean, because it'll just keep encroaching. So in another year or another time that, I don't know what your practice was in letting that out, we perhaps want to look at,
It was
we
pretty
can
bad.
get it back up.
but it does sound like we need to get the poison ivy killed somehow.
Got in the state right away.
Probably. Some of it.
Oh,
I don't know if they do anything or not, if you can blame it.
They've sprayed some on Route 30 fine guardrails, but not killed the grass.
What's that?
Tell them the truck just slipped out around a certain place.
Oh, all the way around?
without Kurt and David, do we have anything to say about East Hill?
David did send through what's in your box, a kind of draft of that.
Oh, this invitation to bid thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
an invitation to bid. I haven't heard confirmation from, I was thinking Kurt might have it, or Kim, or David, as to whether it has to be mowed out. We did get the email from Tiz that said that she didn't believe that FEMA required that it be bid out, but then there's the board policy over $15,000, you probably ought to. Anyway, I did talk to Brad after the last meeting and said kind of hold off, that we'd try to sort this out before the next meeting, since he was waiting. He was told to go ahead. I see there's a bill from Stevens in there this week, because they did begin after Kurt told them to go ahead and begin the engine, but they haven't gone very far. So they're on hold right now until this either gets bid out or you agree on somebody to do this. But Stevens is ready, basically, to go on that.
If that's, if I may, I'm not clear if FEMA still says we need to bid this out.
I have no idea. That
because
wasn't, I didn't make any phone calls. I don't know if Kurt was making phone calls or.
Because my stance is, once again, time is of the essence here. You know, I said that way back when, and we're gonna be right into snowy weather here any week.
Well, and not only that, the part that still needs to be done, I mean, Stevens
is already and has it
they
done.
laid the groundwork for it.
They've laid it, so, I mean, I think
Can you say they basically started in Irene? I mean,
they started in Irene, and back when we asked them to, I think that we can waive the policy requirement of 15,000 in view of most of the work has already been done.
I
Number
think
one.
you're right, we're gonna pay for it.
My concern is FEMA's little caveat, and I don't know how to deal with
I don't
that.
know if there is a caveat. I really don't.
I don't, I mean, he doesn't return your call. I don't know where you go from.
Oh, the FEMA guy?
Yeah.
Kurt said he was coming back today, wasn't it? July 16th, I thought he said.
Well, Kim, maybe you can,
If I can just bring up history from last fall, there was no requirement that we bid out for Beck's engineering on the dam culvert.
that's good.
I mean, I think.
And when we were looking at East Hill, we did ask Stevens to, and they were ready to go last fall in October. And then, I don't want to say cold feet, but it was just another big job right before winter. It got put off until spring. So we had them hold off, but then they did the topographical study, which was but basically the contract that they have as a proposal right now is the same as it was in October, same price, same breakdown. You didn't find it. So,
Well, I think at the time in the fall, after Irene, all of the engineers were, super busy. So it was you get whoever you can get at that
Well,
time.
we were glad we could get Stevens
Right.
because they were.
I would make a motion, who's this FEMA fellow we have to get a hold of, what's his name, you know?
Scott Trezano, I guess.
I would make a motion that we waive putting the engineering out to bid in an award contract to Stevens and Associates with the blessing of Steve Trezano. Scott Trezano, I'm sorry. If somebody can call him, tell him that Stevens Associate has it all, is that okay? Can we go ahead?
Yeah. I'd say.
And just go ahead with Stevens, and that's my recommendation. I'm just afraid we're gonna
Yeah.
keep
I'm
fooling
sure.
around.
I'd be glad to talk to Scott and get that assurance for you, and then talk to Brett.
Well, if we still can't get a hold of him,
But I don't have
where
Scott's
do you
number.
go?
Well, Kim's got it too. I mean, the only person we could go is to Minor. Who's Sue
Sue
Minter?
Minter. Sue Minter from the state.
Or,
Yeah, I'll be able to tell you.
I won't put a Scott Trezano person, I'll put it from FEMA,
Yeah.
FEMA
So-
representative.
So find somebody
FEMA
from
that says-
FEMA.
Well, Sue can get you, she seems like the last time you got a hold of her, things happened, right?
Well, that was actually Tiffany Fortier, but the state is down to just a handful of them now that are following up on the FEMA stuff.
Okay,
So I would clarify the intent of the motion is to award the contract to Stevens and Associates with follow-up and assurance from FEMA that it's appropriate.
And I'll second it. All in favor? Okay,
Do you want to sign that contract contingent upon?
sure.
Thursday, I'll be talking to Kurt and the highway guys about all the ditching that we saw, inlets, like that needs to be fixed.
Yeah, I think that, let's just mention that a bit so it's on record. When the select board done the scheduled site visits on Barber Road and then back road to Wyndham and other various roads, there were several areas where there were stones blocking culverts. The ditches hadn't been cleaned and full of leaves, right? There were several culverts that were pretty blocked. There was one culvert up on the back road to Wyndham that is clearly crushed and sticking out of the ground. And then the other, where that stream bed has eroded the road out, it's going to need a lot of riprap and shoring back up. And that's just off the top of my head. You took notes, but
That was basically the biggest area.
the biggest areas of concern, and I'm just bringing them up so that they're on the record, and then you're going to discuss them with the highway foreman, Mr. Boston.
But, let me just leap in here while we're on the subject of ancient roads. Craig, that hearing needs to include the Mellis Bills thing, and I didn't see them listed in the hearing notice. The three we did before, the east.
Did I send you a copy? It's into the Reformer today, should be published on Wednesday or Thursday, but it includes the unnamed road at Mellis Bills and the unnamed road at
Oh, okay,
Eastwood Charles.
And Steveland Village, okay.
Right.
Thank you.
I'd like to bring that back up in a minute as soon as we're done with highway.
Okay, are we done with highway?
No, I'll make sure that I talk to them about that.
Mike Bills approached me yesterday and says in fact that roadway across Carol Mellis's does have a name, and he is prepared to bring me documents that state that and where it goes, and it's called Brookline Road. And he has a map of, I don't know what date or whatever, but he has documents that show where that comes off of Route 35 across the Mellis property, up over his land, and ties in over through Maggie-Ladd and back down that way.
Yeah, well, I saw where, in the highway book, where that was laid out. And yeah, I knew it was.
Well, just that his contention was that we had called it unnamed, and in fact, he says it doesn't. That's all.
Well, that was on the Ancient Roads Committee, called it, and that's Charlie Marshall after all his research, so that was, I mean, everybody just adopted that.
So there'll be documentation coming.
Oh, okay. We obviously have no law enforcement report unless somebody here got something from someone.
Quiet.
Okay, we've all had the town clerk's report. Kim and Joe, I think we're up to you.
Okay, shortly after the last meeting, we got notice that we had gotten another check from FEMA for $204,000. So we currently have $579 and change in our general fund. I think the next meeting I will probably put on a warrant and suggest that we pay off our line of credit. And it will still be there, but we need it for East Hill. To get that done, we are prepared to send out tax bills next week. Anita's gone this week, Wednesday through Friday, so when she comes back next week, we'll set up a stuffing envelope session if anybody's free that wants to. I don't know if we picked a day yet. Did we decide what day we were going to try to do that next week?
I thought it was Monday, Tuesday.
Monday, Tuesday. So
Well,
we're trying
print
to.
Monday, Tuesday,
Yeah.
Wednesday.
It is unprecedented to pay with tax bills.
Oh, really? Yeah. Is it? Oh. Okay. So anyways, they're going to get it out.
So Joe, you're saying Tuesday?
We might start Monday if we get it printed.
Yeah, get it printed. I did also have a phone call from Ben Rose, who is one of the state people that was handling the Dam Road Culvert appeal, to let me know that they are moving forward. He was meeting with whoever this firm was that the state hired to help with the various appeals throughout the state. I don't know, when he had something to tell us, he would let us know, but I hadn't totally forgotten about us because I had emailed him and said, where are we at? I haven't heard anything. So I will continue.
Well, we did file the appeal then.
Yes.
See, I hadn't even heard of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
This guy had called me and said this was his position and here's what he needed the email to say to get the appeal started. And so we sent off an email and so yeah, it's in the works. I don't know what's going to be involved, but I'll kind of keep in touch with him and hope if they need anything from us or need to come down or whatever, that we'll know. And we'll just kind of keep on top of it. So at this point, based on the monies that we've received so far, we are still eligible for another $373,000. According to the letter that came with the $204,000, it says, please understand that not all projects have been obligated by FEMA as of yet, and there is still both a federal and state balance owed the town. Yeah, we know that. So, surprise, surprise, yes. We have somebody scheduled August 1st from the state to come down and go through all of our paperwork in case we get audited by FEMA, just to make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row. I guess they're going to try to go around to towns and make sure that everybody's prepared, because apparently FEMA is quite well known for doing an audit and taking back money if you don't have all your paperwork together. So the state has a crew that's going to go around and, you know.
Is that just a help out, or is that an official?
No, it's just a help out, just to make sure that you have everything that you need. It's not an actual audit. They're just kind of going through and making sure that you have your paperwork all lined up. So that's it from my end.
Thank
End
you.
of the year stuff. I will have, stuff to you before the first meeting in August. And other than the position that FEMA put us in, which, if we get all our money, really isn't going to be terrible. Both of the general fund and the highway budgets are good. We'll just give you a heads up on that. So, for 2011-12, looking very good.
Great, and we'll have a report on that next meeting?
Well, no, I'll get them to you before next meeting.
Oh,
The
good.
budget information to you before
Yeah.
next, because we have actually got 3 weeks between now and the next meeting. And so I will do it in the form that we have been doing it the last couple of years with the spreadsheets. So
Great.
I think it's easier to understand for everybody than the printouts. So.
Wonderful. Okay, people want a quick break before we continue on?
Members of the public not at this time? Come back to correspondence, whole business.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't have members of the public here?
No.
Oh.
He's taking
No
notes.
reformer.
Oh. Okay.
He's not here to harangue us or anything.
Nobody's here?
Nobody came. We're back, right?
Oh,
We're back.
We're back.
No members of the public present.
Old business. What is going on?
Correspondence,
We want to do correspondence, do we have any?
Oh, right.
yes, right? And I'm not sure if this is under correspondence or probably old business, but the Keith Wester notification of bid. Everybody see that? Get a copy of it? Just so it's a matter of the record.
Yeah, I actually don't have it under old business, but we did receive that. Okay, Anita's got them, and I didn't check the paper today, but I believe the ad was in today. It certainly was in Saturday. The request for proposals.
Did you get a letter from Wright Construction Company too? Right? We talked about that.
Let's see what I got from Mike.
While you're looking for Wright, there's a letter also from Iberdrola Renewables.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure what that's about.
There was meteorological towers going in on the Grafton Wyndham lines, and I still believe they're planned for, although the select board in Wyndham has an ordinance on. Townshend is on the mailing list simply because we had sort of adjoining property, but we don't.
Okay.
And, we're just in the loop on this. The letter, one of the letters that arrived was an invitation to come down and see what they do. Basically, that's still in negotiations from what I understand.
I can't even read that. They just mean
No. Well, there's really two. There's an invitation, right, to go and view the Select Board and Planning Commission members Tuesday, August 28th and Thursday, September 20th to go on a tour in Lemster Wind Farm in Sullivan, New Hampshire, so you can see what the wind farms and what they're doing. Is that right? That's one of them.
Right.
The other letter was
Longitude, latitude.
long
Correction.
yeah, correction letter.
Oh,
So just that it's a matter of record.
what was the late letter?
Did you find the right letter?
I didn't.
Oh, it's just saying that
They're interested in more culverts and everything.
Oh, right. They would like to put culvert work out to. They would like the board to consider putting culvert work out to bid. And let's see. Copy maybe here. So.
there's some things and I don't get some things.
I don't know.
Just while he's looking for that, if it, just in the interest of time, I spoke to Howard Graff about the site visit that we did. I never can say the road right, but Fessenden Road has a access to that cemetery up there, and he didn't know how it worked and said that I'd have to wait till Charlie got back from vacation. So Charlie should be back shortly. I think the end of this week, I'm not sure. But in that time frame, so hopefully by Sunday I'll have some idea of what Charlie's response to that Fessenden Cemetery access is. Wright Construction of Mount Holly.
I gave that to David and Chad as
Oh, okay.
commissioners, just so they could review it. Some of these are PR things, some of them are correspondence to the board, and sometimes I use up a lot of photocopy paper, and sometimes I just pass it word and see if they want to bring it up. But anyway, they're asking towns if they might bid on culvert work.
That's just a,
on Mount Holly.
It's not correspondence, but I did talk to David. Eddie was here on Thursday night with the fire pond bid openings, but he did report subsequent, I'm looking at the cover bridge on the back of that, subsequent to going to the Scott Bridge meeting in Montpelier on Thursday, that it appears that there is a go-ahead for repair of Scott Bridge. The initial plans right now are to stabilize it sometime before weather sets in this fall and get it secure and get it safe, and then take a hard look at it and begin probably doing some reconstruction next year. But there is a will to move forward with restoring that bridge to its original pedestrian, or to its recently current pedestrian use. So it looks like it will be safe.
That's great.
Okay, we ready for old business? Why is Garland Stove on here?
There is, and I did not get a return call from Mr. DeGrenier. There was, did you hear about that? Anita indicated that he might not be buying it, even though he was awarded, he had a high bid on it back when, but he apparently didn't have permission from somebody to buy it.
Board of Directors.
Pardon?
The Board of Directors.
The Board of Directors did not authorize his buying that stove for,
Oh,
Did they want it for the community
West
center?
Townsend Association.
Yeah.
yeah, and so I don't really know the status on that, but I will find that out.
They'll
And
find it, and then we'll,
if he doesn't want it, then I'd just like permission for the second highest bidder to buy it, and I'll hire Kit to move it.
Make sure that,
And you owe me $1.
but make sure that we have in writing that he's
Yeah, I will.
reneging
I will.
on it.
I'll have a message for him over the weekend.
Okay,
Does that need a motion, just so we don't have, well,
No.
unless you wanna wait till the next meeting?
yeah,
well, yeah, he should have the information by the next meeting, and then
Okay.
we'll just, at that meeting, we'll award it to the second bidder.
If the second bidder still wants it.
If the
And
second
if not, we'll sell it for scrap.
second bidder will negotiate with his anonymous partner in the city. There's money to be paid.
Cemetery rights of way, nothing to report, I haven't heard anything from Charlie. Logging town land,
I think we put that,
well, I called Longview Foresters and said that, a number of people in town had expressed interest, so
yeah,
we were going to keep it local.
let that go
And
until
thank
fall.
I thank them very much for their patience and all the rest. But do we want to go anywhere from here, or?
I would put it on future considerations, and maybe in the fall, because anybody that I talk to about that, we're talking about doing it in the winter.
Yeah.
Right now, logs are dead, I believe.
Yeah, so I would just wait, put it on a future.
Yeah,
Maybe
put it on
I'll
the,
get it out, let 'em
yeah,
know.
put it on the calendar in
Oh,
October or
how
something.
about September 17th?
October 31st.
October would be
We're
about
not gonna do that.
Well, we can talk about it in September.
Yeah.
Yep.
And put it out to bid, I mean, that's,
Yeah, September's not far out.
No, it isn't.
Stop it.
You'll be in Florida anyway.
Unless you pay up.
okay, we've announced that the crushing contract went to Basie Brothers.
Yeah, but not officially for the record, so,
Do you have those, that breakdown from David? I don't have them, I just looked.
I do not have a copy of it.
I mean, I can basically give you the rundown, not exact, but.
I have the originals, and I will record, for the minutes this time, what everybody did. I think I did that before, but I'll break it out off his spreadsheet a little bit there, so that it's in these minutes. But as I understand it, the paving for the dam road and the paving for Route 35, both of those were awarded to Basin Brothers. And the crushing was also awarded.
Pending a, I don't remember if it was a performance bond, they only gave us 10% and it's supposed to be 110%.
Okay, so there's still some details to work out.
And Kurt was gonna call them, well, I probably can find out Thursday, but basically we're low bidder on both paving jobs, pending that.
And I understood they got the crushing job because they were fully compliant with the
Right,
request.
Fitzpatrick's was low bidder but did not fill out proper contract requirements.
This is such a blood sport.
Is that the stuff right there? Oh, no, that's.
No, it's not on.
The white spread.
I have it here, it's something that.
Yeah, there's a wide spread.
And you want to do fire pond while you're on bids?
No, well,
Yeah.
Since that's also old business, the new business. would be-
yeah, but we need to do that in executive session,
What?
the fire pond.
Do you need to discuss that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, it's a contractual unless you think it's a no-brainer, and we're just gonna go with the lowest bid because that meets all of our other requirements about being somebody local too. And whatever.
There were recommendations from David. I don't know if everybody got the email from him today. Don't know if I printed that out with regard to the fire pond. So you may want to talk about it in executive.
Yeah.
He did.
I think I do have it.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not sure.
That's
I got
fine.
it.
No, that's
No,
fine.
okay.
No, I didn't see it because okay, let's do that in executive session and move on to new business. And let me say right now that I want to add town hall policy to new business.
I'd like to add the equipment fund, I guess. I just got a question. That was $60,000 equipment for the highway that was at town meeting voted in. Was there $60,000 for?
The highway equipment fund, yeah.
I just want to know where we're going with that.
That was voted in with the anticipation of getting a new 1-ton, but I don't know where that is at. So that money would just go into.
That's why I brought it up. I mean,
Right.
I want to know what everybody's feelings are. Maybe we've obviously spent $40,000 on a grader.
Maybe we
It's
should,
12,000 possibly on, or whatever it was on
we
the.
should try to get that 1-ton through another year.
I don't know, because here again, I guess if we're gonna talk about equipment, I would concede to whatever you guys have looked at and seen. My own personal feelings, and I think we talked about equipment before, is that they don't maintain them, and it's very difficult for me to say, okay, let's buy a new truck. When it's been reported they haven't even washed the salt off of the 1-ton from last winter.
No, it's been pressure washed.
Well,
I was up there and it was pressure washed.
I don't
No,
think
what
it
is
was the 1-ton that.
or, no, it's a T8. It's one of the dump
It's
trucks
Sterling.
that they still haven't even washed
Yeah.
off from winter.
Yeah,
And it's so hard to continually, I know we gotta have equipment, so I think that as far as us talking and deciding if we're gonna buy a new one, we should take stock of what the equipment is and, I suggest the road commissioners do
We're
that
working on the maintenance
with
records right
together and
now.
get stuff where we can maintain it.
I know David's working hard at
Yeah.
that. But
So personally, I think that we ought to just wait before
I
we
just
buy a
want-
new piece.
No,
people, the highway crew and people have asked, so I just, we
We
want to see
just
what
wanna-
everybody's.
yeah.
but that 1-ton has been problematic and not because of
Yeah.
lack of maintenance. It's
Well,
just
it needs some
been
work right now
issue,
that Kurt, I think is supposed to be doing.
Yep.
All doing to some stuff.
you know, which is just not, it's just,
But it's wearing out.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's not heavy.
It's not intended to
But
go
I
as
mean,
many
I-
years as it's
and I'm just
gone by.
remember back town meeting, some of the bids were up around 90 to 100,000 what he wanted to replace it with, so.
I think maybe you could get them started on, or get Kurt started on a description of what it is he wants. I mean, any of us can probably find a 1-ton truck for under 40,000, but he's got all kinds of requirements, and find out what they are and.
What we need.
We did, this 1-ton that we have now was bought on the low end, and it's been, we definitely put the extra money into it
Over the years.
over the ownership of it, because it was bought on the,
What is it being used for, what it's paid for, needed for?
Well, and again, I would
some of the, I go back to some of
defer
the,
to you guys, you and David and Kurt, if in the next month or so you guys get together and really look at the equipment and say, okay, this is what we're gonna need.
What I'll do is I'll have Kurt get something together what he would like
Right.
on this new one, and then we can,
Go from there.
then David and I can discuss it.
Yeah.
and we'll have to
Shave
bring it
some of the bells
You
and
know-
whistles.
some of the roads that we plow
Mhm.
that are
Oh, no, we
like
know.
this.
But I don't, we shouldn't be plowing Route 35 with it either.
That's right.
Well,
People plow it quite often.
I've driven it and
Anyhow, if
Yeah.
I think it,
I just want to know where
got a truck with a plow on it.
well, we don't know yet, and I think we're gonna have to wait, because there was some talk about some of that money might have to go toward the culvert, and we still don't know yet where we are with that.
I'll have them start on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just have them start. Okay,
So you want to address town hall policy?
well, we've got other things on here first.
Okay.
Let's,
And you got roadside flags that Jeff had on there too, American flags.
oh, and there's a mowing bid. Okay, bronze plaques.
Somebody said they want, who was it that
They
said?
want the plaques on the building
Well,
polished.
at the last meeting, I brought up that some townspeople, a person said that it looks like they're getting tarnished and whatnot. I think after the last meeting,
Yes.
Craig looked at them and said that he could do them probably a whole lot cheaper than when
I
Abby
think we sent them
had.
out. I think we sent them out to
We
a
did.
company that does metal polishing, which is
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
But you can get just a bronze polish and a car buffer kind of thing, wax buffer, and buff them pretty good. I mean, it depends on whether you want them to look brand new. I like the patina.
I was gonna say, I kind of like them the way.
But I think if you hit
I think
the high
I like
points,
when
you
you
hit
hit
the names, and you make those shine the names, and you leave the background as a darker patina, and just catch the edges around the outside. I mean, I'd be happy to ask around. I mean,
Which brought up another issue while we were discussing it. Several years ago, we had discussed constructing or building an obelisk for out in front as a memorial to the service people.
Oh,
Yeah, that we got.
And now that we have the sidewalk done, and that out front looks pretty nice, that might be something the board wants to look at in the future, because with Iraq and other things, Afghanistan and stuff going on, we
need new plaques.
want to make new plaques, and we may want to be looking at a different type of memorial.
Yeah.
I think they're fine personally on the wall, but I also think that if you have something a little more distinct, it's showing. But that's something I think we can talk about in the future. As far as polishing them, I personally think that if Craig can do that at a reasonable fee,
I'll take a look at it. I'll
Take
take
a
a
look.
look.
Not much just polishing them, it just has a good cleaning without taking the patina off. I mean, you wouldn't want to take the patina off.
No, I agree. That's just my nature. I kind of like things that are have a little look. And I like the obelisk.
Well,
Like
that's-
the obelisk if it had an American flag stand on it, so we could put a flag out.
Well,
This one, the state law was American made, but it was $190, and it's faded badly.
Yeah, that was the
And
other
I don't
thing.
think that's long-term good place for a flag to
No,
hang.
if we're gonna fly a flag, we gotta do it correctly.
that's right.
That thing, that's just not right. And then these flags on the telephone poles, I know it's good and all, but no one takes care of them. They get all tangled up and falling down. And
Who owns it? Is it the business association?
Townsend Business Association.
And the worst part of the whole thing is, majority of them are made in China.
I mean, my comment, I hadn't thought about it till you just brought it up, but my comment on the flags on the telephone poles is that I don't think they're being well maintained.
They're-
And they begin to look more ragged and a
Yeah.
detraction rather than an attraction, rather than
I think,
an honorarium
yeah.
of
They should
the
go out
sort.
between Memorial Day and
What-
July 4th and then come in.
What
For Labor Day.
should, they should go out for Memorial Day, the week, and be taken down. July 4th, the week,
Labor Day.
taken down. Veteran, or
Veterans Day.
not up all year, because I'm probably
It wears them out.
gonna be hated worse than I already am, but it just, if you can't take care of a flag, then don't put the flag
Well,
out.
I mean, we could ask Craig to write a letter to the business association, tell them of our concerns,
Well,
and, you know,
And you're gonna fly
maybe
it.
invite them in to talk about it, or,
my own personal opinion, if they are gonna fly a flag in Townsend on town property, it better be American made. That's just my own little.
Okay, while we're talking to Craig about writing letters, have you written to Ernie?
No. You put it on put an asterisk beside that one. As a directive for the, as a directive for the committee, when next it meets, to have a look at that piece of property, which,
No, to get in touch with the state and find out what we can use it for.
okay.
what, Pete, whoa.
The
Direct
old dump
direct
site.
and turn the
Oh,
old landfill
yes,
site.
okay.
Oh,
There is a waste management committee that meets occasionally, and when Ryan
well,
was
it's
last
gone,
in,
it's gone the whole thing, then we can't go near it again, we can use it again.
Yeah, we need to know what the state has to
when
say.
Ryan was last in, Eddie asked him if they had looked at that as part of their, because they were supposed to look at the broad context of how we're gonna look at waste management in the future, whether we're gonna keep the compact or replace it, if we're gonna go to a stationary like Jamaica and Wardsburg. And what is the possibility of maybe reopening or using the draft and turn? And he indicated that they hadn't looked at that, and they wouldn't look at that without a letter from the select board directly. So,
It was in their original charge for.
yeah, but we'll get a letter, we'll get a letter from them.
Get them a letter, please. Okay, we're done with flags for now?
Yeah.
Oil and propane pre-buy?
Yeah, this is one of those things that's going on. There is a, you know better than I, perhaps, because you talked to Anita. We do have a request from Curly Fuel. We do have an offer from Curly Fuel with regard to pre-buy at $3.58.9 per gallon, current fixed price. The number of gallons is 1950, which is what apparently we used last year. Subtotal is $7,000, $69.98. That's that. Anita had brought up.
Oh, right.
Anita had brought up that there is a better deal available through a buying co-op over in Wilmington area, or Deerfield, I guess. That the price of propane is roughly half of what we're paying right now. Anybody can sign up for it. She signed up for it with the body shop. A number of individuals have signed up for it. I guess Mary Mars has signed up for it 3 years ago. But they're buying propane at about $1.58 as opposed to $3.59. That's about what we're paying, $3.50, $3.48, something like that. I don't know what the current
But that's
rate is.
just propane.
But apparently they do oil as well, and that's at substantial savings, and they would love to do the municipality.
How is this, how does it work?
It's a non-profit, and they're looking to expand. They're buying at cost, they're selling at cost.
Is it working?
Costs us $70 to join.
Even if
But once you become a member, it's like cooperative. Once you become a member, you get
That's oil too?
I think it's oil too.
Can we get a,
But it most definitely is propane. Gayla Gulak came down, talked to Anita. She gave her the phone number. She called up. 2 days later, she had contracts in the mail to sign. And that's just a private individual.
I think his name is McDivitt, you know, the nurse petitioner over here, Schaefer's office.
Oh,
Louise
Louise.
McDermott.
Yeah, her husband, I think he's the one that you call.
anyway, Craig, can you get a proposed contract?
I can get that for you, yes.
And let me give you this back.
Okay. And I do understand from Joe that Curly is now under new ownership. Yeah.
Well, I think though Curly is quite anxious to know about those, and so the quicker we can do that, I guess the better.
Yeah.
And we need to keep the library in the loop because they were about to send theirs in and, you know, realized they needed to check, and Curly said, well, we haven't heard back from the town yet.
Yeah.
Does it have a date?
Well, they signed it on June 9th.
They won't give us any
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah.
great,
I would suggest that we find out if this co-op includes fuel oil, and if we can get a contract or a proposal from the co-op for our next meeting, or by our next meeting, for our consideration.
I will say that on this price, just as a matter of record, this current fixed price at $3.58.9 per gallon is the same that they're offering me and everybody else.
Yeah.
It's the residential rate. I mean,
Last January, I got it for 352.9.
Yeah.
but I'm saying that
Yeah.
the municipality's not getting a break for.
You're a favorite customer.
Well, I got it out of Broward.
Yeah.
Well, and there are a number of them that will give people over 60 like a 5% discount or something.
I don't think that.
Is Joe over 60?
Yeah,
Well, the town is.
and especially, well, in the amount that we buy, I just think it's gonna pay us to look around.
Yeah. Well, particularly if they're not even willing to give us any kind of a bulk rate or anything.
We did get, but I never followed up on it or checked it out, we did get an extra 10 cents off on diesel fuel by doing the pre-buy last year, and we do buy a lot of diesel fuel for the highway. Make sure that was happening.
Okay, so you know what Craig is doing about this.
Yeah, you'll hear from me in a couple of days.
Okay.
That one.
Town hall policy. I would like to propose a very simple policy saying no firearms in town hall except for authorized law enforcement officers. I think it can be that simple to cover what I'm concerned about.
Would you like to make that in the form of a motion?
Yeah, I'll make that in the form of a motion. Can we have a second so we can...
I'll second it so we can have a discussion.
Let's discuss.
Motion to adopt a policy.
Do we have a written town hall policy so we can put an addendum? We don't have any,
We don't
we
have
don't
any
have
written
anything.
town hall policy.
Because I think that if we're looking at what our concerns are over firearms in the town hall, that we should be looking at in town-owned, in all town-owned properties. The common belongs to the church.
Library.
The library,
The garage.
the garage,
Fire.
the school, the grade school, the firehouse.
The grade school and the high school would be covered by federal policy.
Well,
It's
there's
still
nothing
our
to keep
property.
us to...
You know, I'm just trying to look at, do you want to broaden that a little bit, which I would
Sure,
be in favor of.
Sure.
You know, I think we look at town hall, but I think that, you know, what our concerns are and our liability concerns and all that other sort of thing, that we may want to broaden that.
yeah. I think that's a good idea. I would certainly accept that as an amendment, that it be on any town property.
That would be
Well,
town
just waiting
buildings,
for discussion.
not just property, but it would be town premises, I guess, or whatever the right term for it would be, but it would be buildings and premises.
Buildings and premises.
But not property per se.
For property per se. Why
Well,
not?
the town owns a lot of property in the sense that there's an awful lot of acres.
Mhm.
Well, property as in this building's property. I mean,
Right, but this 17 acres on West Townsend, it's just
Well,
wide open land,
That somebody might in fact hunt on.
you know,
Yeah, so maybe buildings and premises. Unless you wanted to include that kind of thing too, in which case somebody's got to go post it.
No,
No,
no, I think our intent is appropriate.
yeah, I mean, yeah.
This is a firearms policy or weapons policy?
Firearms,
Okay, yeah.
or at least
Well,
that's what
I
I'm
think
intending.
weapons,
I
I think it's weapons. I think it's weapons policy.
Isn't it?
Yes, it is, but it's
But there's
still what?
different laws.
Yeah.
Are we talking about David's pocket knife now?
No,
No.
We got another big-
Handgun.
not mine either.
I think a handgun is a firearm.
It is.
But switchblade is about that.
I'm trying to
It's
think
over
of
2 inches.
in Vermont law, it's
3 inches.
3 inches long.
It's different for like, you can carry a loaded pistol, but you can't.
Yeah,
In your
but
car. What
that's
do
Vermont law, not
they-
federal.
No, but how do they distinct the two?
Well, what do they say? A loaded handgun in your car, but not a loaded rifle.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think,
But the clip can be filled, the clip can't be in the ground.
Right.
Right. They have to be separate.
Okay,
Make
but
it
we
stick.
simply don't want any firearms in here.
That's fine.
And firearms, I think, covers
I think it covers what it needs to.
projectile hitting
I mean,
devices.
And you're
Watch
allowing
those
this
also.
only to,
Things like that, pretty good on top of that.
you said.
This is gonna show
law
up across the
enforcement, I mean, that's been
Stun
possible.
guns.
no, he's not authorized. Authorized law enforcement officials would be the only exception, or law enforcement officers.
I have duly authorized law enforcement officials, but I'm not sure what that
That's fine.
technical definition is.
I would change officials to officers. I mean, I'm thinking about Deputy Tyler or
yeah,
Keith,
State
or
Vermont State Police,
when they come in here to do an emergency management training again.
But is an elected official a duly authorized official? Is a constable a duly authorized?
No, he's not authorized to carry a weapon.
Okay. I didn't know.
look in the statutes, he is not authorized to carry a weapon.
Without the training that goes along. Okay.
Wait a minute, let me think about this for a second.
Believe.
we need the
Um,
right wording.
How that statute.
In front of it. What's the right wording for this? Let's go with that.
We just got it.
Well, the other, I don't think we can get around that.
You say,
I was gonna say, you know, something to the effect that they're on duty. And
no, no,
because constable,
off duty, police officers can carry it.
yeah.
Oh, man, I gotta plow through this.
Oh.
There's some stuff on
I guess just the way it was is law enforcement officers.
You want to keep it to firearms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think if we don't,
Firearms.
we're gonna be reduced to a metal detector wand at the
Right.
door, and we will have the world's biggest collection of pocket knives.
I think if you look in your select board handbook,
See the word.
it outlines in there, I didn't bring mine, I used to try to keep mine in here, but it outlines in there the statutes for constable and they
It does.
can
And
carry a firearm if they're duly authorized or not, and I think,
You would never.
I think not. I mean, I'm happy to look at it again, but I.
yeah, I think
believe
not, but, yeah.
Policy is usually, if this passes, we'll print it up. It usually sits for 30 days as opposed to notice and then goes into effect following that. Townsfolk have a right to comment and appeal or petition.
Okay. This is not an ordinance.
No, I understand. Policies generally have a 30 day, I believe, 30 days.
Okay, good enough.
You have a motion?
More discussion?
I think we're good as long as the wording sounds correct.
Motion to adopt the no firearms policy, and this is with the amendment, in all municipal buildings and premises, except by duly authorized law enforcement official officers.
I think that should do it.
Sounds correct.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Seeing as how we have only one roadside mowing bid, I expect we can, well, we should open it in public anyway.
Or were we gonna ask somebody else?
You know what?
Craig's,
I'm sorry? I did not open that, I need to open it just because it arrived as mail, she didn't realize it was just
Yeah.
take it right back up, so
Oh.
I haven't seen it.
okay, but didn't Kurt say go ahead?
Yeah, he did not,
Well,
he does
that's
not
it.
have another to submit, there is nothing here by 4 o'clock today.
That's it. That's when that-
Yeah.
Nothing
All
else,
right,
I should
well,
say, there's
yeah,
nothing else here
okay.
by 4
They were
o'clock.
supposed to been here today and we didn't receive them, and
Today by 4
This is
o'clock,
it.
in writing.
And this is obviously from Bruce Orchid. Roadside mowing of approximately 132 miles of road, all over the rail mowing, 2 to 3 passes where possible. Also the septic field by the athletic field in this bid. Oh, because there was a had to be an addendum last year.
He did.
And he includes a certificate of liability insurance. Yeah, he did, and we had to pay extra because it wasn't part of his original agreement. And a taxpayer number. His bid is 68.2, which is about what the last one was.
I think it was last year, same as last year.
He's got a rate, 77.
Yeah, $77.50 an hour. He's estimating that this is 88 hours.
68.2, meaning 6,820.
Yep.
Okay.
Do we want to have him make a pass or two around that we were talking earlier? Over by with it.
all
I'd
attack
I'd
mine.
look at that and see first.
Yeah.
And if we need to
You got
add it
time
on, I
anyways.
mean, we got time before he mows, and by then, if we need to add it on, we need to add it on. I mean, the bid was for this, and then we
Yep.
can go from there.
Yeah.
Do we want a contract that's more specific than 2 or 3 passes where possible?
One of the problems last year, aside from his equipment and health and a couple other things that were on him, was Tropical Storm Irene. But one of the things that did come up, and one of the problems that the town looked at by the time he got finished in November was the oversight of somebody following through and making sure that he was actually putting the blade low enough and all of that. So I would think that you'd want to have Kurt go with him and look at it, or have somebody check behind him as he finishes a section, just to make sure that it is what it's supposed to be.
Which
But-
would seem, I mean, it seemed to me, though, that's part of the foreman's job, is to make sure that the job is getting done appropriately. If it's not, then you need to say, whoa, hold it, you're not doing the job as,
I think
you're not meeting our
I
expectations.
think 2 or 3 passes is normal.
Yeah.
One of the things that came up last year was that there was no, one of the things came up last year, there was no end date on when he was going to finish. And you might, and again, I'm just throwing to the wind here, but you might say if this is done prior to
Well, I
October
think
1st or something.
there should be a signed agreement anyway.
Okay.
Can you take this to Kurt and see what things he wants to have in there, and then we can get it written up? But I think we will.
If you can send me, I can type something up for you. If you send me, you know what you want it to be. It's
Yeah.
really simple, straightforward
Yeah.
contract.
Yeah, because, I
Between the
mean-
town and Bruce.
Because he bid on it, on what we asked
I
him to
don't have
bid
that.
on.
I don't, did we put any bid just in paper, right?
It was in paper, proof of insurance,
Yeah.
by such and such a time, 4 o'clock today, basically, needed to be submitted. But if you do want to include an end date, or if you do want to include other areas at Taft Meadows or something like that.
What else you think?
Making sure that it, the passes it needs.
Right, but Kurt can do that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of Kurt's job, is just to make sure, and if it's not meeting the expectations, then you stop and say, why? You know, just like you hire somebody to build your house.
So you gotta do the first couple of days, you gotta see if he's gonna do
Oh,
that.
yeah.
The job.
Right, well, you certainly could say something like done to the,
Road foreman's expectations. or
yeah, or satisfaction, or.
Or the highway commissioner's expectations.
something. Right.
No,
No, we're not sending Chad out to check on the,
Well, you had me on Sunday riding around, right?
Yeah, well, we might as well have them out
It's
Tuesday.
about time too, Jeff, it's about time.
Yeah. Riding around, not in the depot.
Here.
So I would make a
Sell the
motion
Lincoln by
that
Jeep.
we award the bid to
Bruce Orchid.
Bruce Orchid for $6,820, pending verification from the road commissioners and highway foreman.
Yeah, we'll get something.
That an
back.
agreeable contract is.
Yeah.
And then before, I'll
Yeah.
just send it to David, you know, I'll CC you or CC David. on it.
Again, so we
Yeah,
have to wait
okay.
2 weeks.
Do we have a second to Kit's motion?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I think now we need to have a brief executive session on the fire pond.
Out of executive session at 7:52.
I would make a motion that we award the Townshend Fire Pond bid to low bidder Donald Gould and Sons for the price, total price of $5,400.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Sure. Anybody have another motion to make, please?
I say we adjourn.
Alrighty?
You can stay here.
We know.
Thank you for the cookies, Howard.